Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show where a man completely immersed in anime culture torments his co-host, who is only allowed to watch the shows featured here. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/animeoutofcontext. Alongside over 100 hours of exclusive bonus material, all episodes uploaded to Patreon are completely ad-free, even to non-patrons. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And setting up a GameCube takes more time than you would expect.
I'm Shaun Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
Remington, I've got a lovely question I need to ask you.
I am excited to answer.
Yeah, because it's a question that I've been thinking about for a little bit, and I thought to myself, what is Rem's opinion? And is he just going to be a grumpy grump and say neither are good? Because
all right, well, it sounds like you're going to give me options of two bad things.
I'm not. What I'm going to give you is, we've covered both of these kinds of things in the past on several occasions, but I don't know which you like more and which you consider is the better choice for new stories.
Okay.
And that is, what do you think is better, a spin-off or a remake?
Here are my thoughts. I think that a remake, first of all, sometimes you'll see a remake done within like 10 years of the work or like of another remake of the work. That's always bad. That you gotta give it time. You gotta give it time to rest. You remake something when technology has so far advanced that you can breathe new life into, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, I feel like there are probably exceptions to it because, like, look at Full Metal Alchemist, for example. The original anime aired in 2003, and they remade it in 2009, and most people vastly prefer the 2009 version.
Sure, and I suppose it depends on how strict we are about remake versus, I guess, like reimagining.
Right.
Which is a gradient. It's not a binary.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets close to the reimagining, I'm almost always okay with it. For remake, you need significant like innovations, and then spots in between you can have other justifications. But regardless, you need some reason to be retelling this old story. There needs to be, because the original told it because it was a good story. You need to tell it because it's a good story and ... Or it's a good story, but it blah blah blah. There needs to be an added reason, right?
Right.
Because otherwise, if your reason for it existing is because, like, it's a story that deserves to be told, and it was, then, topic of spin-off, a spin-off, I think that it has less inherent baggage, but more accrued baggage. And what I mean by that, conceptually, I think there's very little wrong with a spin-off under just about any circumstance, right?
Uh-huh.
But how spin-offs tend to be created is lazy cash grabs. They don't need to be by any means. There's nothing intrinsic about the spin-off that says this must be a cash grab, but it often is. And often it hurts because of it. And so I think that, both have their value, and both have their place. I think that usually if someone were to present me with a piece of media and ask if I wanted a spin-off or a remake, I would usually say spin-off because it's a new story. But if you had asked me whether I wanted to watch an existing spin-off or remake, I would tend to lean towards the remake because spin-offs are usually lower quality. So it's a very nuanced answer for what was supposed to be a simple question.
Well, hey, it's not like we have to, pad out time in this episode so that people keep listening to us.
Gotta really pad out the
add some jokes.
Hey, our patrons know we don't need to pad out the pre-banter. Shout out to our patrons who got a dumb as fuck but long pre-banter today.
Hey, that's the kind of thing you can get for $2 a month.
For $2 a month, you can waste even more of your time. What a bargain!
Yeah.
Do you want to? Do you not value your time or your money? Well, I have a great way where you can get rid of both, ladies and gentlemen. Is that good? Is that how you shill, Shaun? Is that how? Is that marketing?
I think I feel like we could work on it a little bit, but great step one, Rem. But yeah, Rem, because I ask you this because I have two anime lined up for you today. One is a spin-off of a very popular series, and the other is a very popular remake of a very popular series. And I was just kind of thinking, well, I don't know which one I want to show to you first.
Let me ask, have I seen the original of either of these?
You've seen the original of the spin-off.
Okay.
And you have not seen the original of the remake. However, I thought it would be interesting because normally when we talk about remakes, we usually watch the original before the remake. In this case, I thought just diving straight into a remake might be an interesting experiment for that.
Ooh, fascinating.
But the spin-off is a fresh out of the box spin-off of a insanely popular series that we've covered a couple of times on the show.
I think...
And no, it's not Sword Art Online, so don't panic.
I don't know if I trust anime spin-offs. I don't know if I trust... Because here's the thing. I think that, like, manga and anime creators have shown me repeatedly that they'll... I'll put it nicely, right?
Oh, okay.
Boy, oh boy,
right,
they're getting
careful.
all the juice out of the lemon. Some might argue that they juice the lemon until they get to the rind and then they keep going. And so I'm worried that this may be a case where they're like, well, there's some lemon peels in the trash. We could try to juice those too.
I see.
Just hopping in here to say that you actually can technically get a significant amount of juice from the peel of a citrus, such as a lime, lemon, or grapefruit. What you do is you take a very thin slice of the peel, making sure not to get to the pith, and you then have it sit in a combination of acids like citric acid, malic acid, so on and so forth, depending on the type of citrus, to make what is called a oleocitrate. Then, depending on the weight of whatever, like the peels and the acids that you add a specific amount of water. Then you just toss in the juice you had already extracted from the fruit itself, leaving you with around 6 times more actual liquid than just juicing the fruit, resulting in a product that will last significantly longer in your fridge without going bad, because the things that it's not going to oxidize nearly as fast as if it was just the straight juice. I highly recommend looking at Kevin Koss's Cocktail Time Guide on Super Juice if you are at all interested in getting the most juice per fruit, or if you like making some fun little cocktails. Education time over. Back to the weebs.
And I'm worried that that'll be the case for the spin-off. Whereas for the remake, and it doesn't need to be that way. It doesn't need to be that way, but I'm not confident. I'm not confident in it, Shaun. I don't trust him. Whereas I'm more likely to trust a remake. I take something hopefully relatively old, update it, modernize it a bit.
Because more often than not, we've had successes with remakes. I think there's only been one remake that you didn't jive with, and that was Sailor Moon Crystal.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times, due to how like old anime tended to be created, now that I have had many critiques of that in the past, updating it for more modern sensibilities tends to improve it quite a bit. So right now, I'm leaning towards remake because I don't trust the spin-off.
You don't trust the spin-off. Well, what question could I answer that would give you more confidence in the spin-off?
Would I prefer it?
Okay, all right. Well...
That would be a quick way to earn my confidence, Shaun.
Yes, but you can't get much entertainment value out of a response like that, Remington.
Well, yeah, I'm just answering honestly, all right? You asked a question, I gave an honest answer.
And your honest answer unfortunately led to, like, the least entertaining option.
Well, okay, I'm sorry for being authentic. I'm sorry for being too real, Shaun.
Well, your realness isn't going to give people the guffaws, my friend.
It sucks to be Is this where I go like anti-woke comedian and I'm like, no, if people stop finding me funny, they're the problem. No, you don't understand. I am equally funny as I've always been and just as relatable, but the people are the issue.
You can't tell jokes like these anymore, is that it,
You
Rem?
can't tell jokes like these anymore, proceeds to say an unfunny milquetoast joke.
Okay then, Rem. So the question ultimately is, I've got two things lined up for you. I've got the remake and I've got the spin-off. I'll tell you one thing about each. The remake is from an insanely popular manga from let's see, that would be I believe that's 1987 is when this manga first started, and it's a manga by the author of Inuyasha.
Okay.
All right, there you go. Whereas this this new spinoff that is currently airing, and at the time of this recording, I believe we'll only have 3 episodes, so it'll be nice and fresh and perfect, is from a manga that ended, I want to say, a year ago at this point, I think. But it is a spinoff of an incredibly popular manga that we have not covered in, I want to say, 5 years.
God damn.
Give or take. Yeah, it's been a hot minute, and people have been asking us to revisit it. So
What the fuck?
you know, why not do so with a spinoff that what this spinoff tries to do is tries to address a different side of the particular society that this story is set in.
I feel like that should give me a better clue, but there's been so much. There's been so much anime.
Well, it's about adults, and the original series is about kids in school. So
that does nothing.
That does nothing. Okay.
You'd be like, oh, it's
let's
a
see.
magical school. And I'll be like, nope, still that does fucking nothing.
Well, it's not a magical school.
Oh, of course not.
No. Okay, then how about this? It's a question of legality. We've got the main show, which is everything proper and the full legal process, whereas the spin-off is very much not that.
Somehow you're telling me so much, and there's no bells being rung. Not a single one.
Okay, fine. I'll tell you what the original is, just because
Will
man,
I remember the original?
You will.
Oh, wow, that's confident.
Yeah, no, I have no doubts in my mind you will remember.
Wow.
Will you remember all of the content of it?
No, no chance.
But I'll tell you the name and you'll be like, oh, I'm going to choose the other one. Because it's a subject matter that normally you don't go for. Because Remington, the spin-off is a spin-off of My Hero Academia.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you're essentially choosing a story from a beloved author being remade in 2024 that originally was written in 1987, or a spin-off of an incredibly popular manga that was written in the past decade.
You know what I've noticed in my sort of sphere isolated from weebdom?
What's that, Ram?
I feel like My Hero Academia sort of like stopped pervading my sphere.
Yeah, you could definitely say that.
And this could be wrong. This could just be, once again, it's not like I go out looking at all.
No.
And sometimes it is random chance what pervades my sphere, what penetrates into my sphere and what doesn't. But I feel like it used to a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't like a single time in a really long time.
Well, would you like some perspective so I can probably give you an idea of why that
Sure,
is?
why not?
Okay, so the manga for My Hero Academia ended in August of 2024.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of hubbub about it around there, but again, it's manga news, so that doesn't usually breach the zeitgeist of your normie space.
Yeah.
And the anime is currently pretty close to catching up on that final season. But to put it in more perspective, the My Hero Academia anime originally aired in 2016.
Okay.
And it's been pretty consistent, since 2016.
Yeah.
So it's at this point it's considered a long-running show, and a lot of people love it, still think it's fantastic. But there have been some, let's just say, some points of contention in like recent seasons where the adaptation wasn't as good as it could have been.
Oh, fair.
Like it, not that it was bad per se, but there was just some artistic choices that didn't make a lot of sense and felt like people were cutting corners. And plus, it was overshadowed by a lot of the new hot stuff, essentially.
I think My Hero Academia makes sense for a spinoff. And there's a lot of potential for a high quality spinoff. The issue is I'm not wildly confident in the writing of My Hero Academia, and thus assuming it would relatively translate, because there would be like great moments, but then it'd be like, anyway, back to this Deku fella, and I'd be like, shut the fuck, stop. And occasionally it would just be bad and cliche and bland.
Well, if it helps you, it helps. It's not written by the original author.
I don't know. I'm leaning towards Remake, unless that is a worse episode. I don't know, Shaun. What do you think? Why don't you put a stake on it?
Oh, I think it's going to be a great episode either way. That's why I put these two as options.
No, but you know what, Shaun? I'm not going to decide. I refuse to decide. All right, you're always having me decide. The people know what I want. What do you want, Shaun? What do you think will make the better episode? What do you think is more interesting? What do you want to talk about, you son of a bitch?
So, folks, what he's doing here is running away.
Wait. If you're saying this is running away to not make a choice, right, then you have run away every single opportunity you could every time you gave me a choice to make instead of you being the one to make it.
Okay, Rem. I will choose the one that I think would be a funnier episode.
So I didn't say funnier. I said better.
Huh?
I said better. I said,
you said better. Oh,
funnier episode. You're
well,
going to choose the worst
look,
one.
You've given me the choice, Rem, so really I have to... I have to
I'm
lean
worried
into
you're
it.
not gonna make the choice responsibly now. I'm worried that you are gonna be like, oh yeah, tough guy? Well, fuck you. And that's not how the conversation was supposed to go. I'm empowering you, Shaun.
You are.
I'm not degrading you. I'm empowering you. It's a make an empowered choice rather than a petty retaliatory one.
Well, don't worry. This isn't petty retaliatory, Rem. I'm going to choose. Hey, I'll tell you what. I'll choose the one that has the higher score.
Don't you? No, because then you're trying to fall back onto my choice. You're trying to fall back to the weeb's choice. What's the Shaun's choice?
The Shaun's choice.
Look deep in your
Let's
fucking heart.
see.
Look for substance at your core. God damn it.
The show that I want to watch more of.
Yeah, the show you want to discuss with your good pal Rem. Which one is it?
Oh, if that's the question. Well, Rem, I'm going to be honest with you. I love a really good remake.
All right. Okay. Cool.
So, with your consent, we'll choose the remake.
All right. What the fuck are we watching?
Well, the first thing we're not watching,
Yeah.
this time at least, is, I'm going to tell you right now, the Japanese name is a little poorly thought out, I'm going to say. The English translation is a little bit better. The spin-off of My Hero Academia is called Vigilante Boku no Hero Academia Illegals.
Oh my god.
Not the best. So the more straightforward translation is My Hero Academia Vigilantes. And it's just a spin-off talking about some folks who decided to be vigilantes and operate outside the system while trying to do good and
It's
fill in the
Daredevil.
holes that... A little bit. Well,
It's
I mean,
Weeby Daredevil.
yeah, because hey, Rem, guess what? Half of superheroes are they're either vigilantes or they're accepted. That those are the two options essentially.
Yeah.
And the vigilante shows tries to talk about that side of hero society. So world building, expanding, yada yada. Just got an anime adaptation. A lot of people seem to really like it, and a lot of people think it's a nice little change of pace from the original stuff, and it also leans into the comic book stuff a little more.
All right.
But we're not watching
Yeah,
that.
fuck it.
Instead, Remington, we are going to be watching the remake of the incredibly popular manga and anime from the 80s, Ranma One Half.
Okay.
That sound familiar to you at all, Rem?
No. Should it?
I mean, it's one of the popular ones from the era, I will say. And when it got its remake, a lot of people were incredibly thrilled, and I definitely know that the folks at Anime 80s wanted us to cover it for ages. So,
That makes me a little bit sad.
a little bit so. Well, you don't trust our lovely listeners?
Look, the good folks at Animates, I love it. A lot of their contributions to the community are often high effort degeneracy, I might say. I might like like it's refined degeneracy, but there's I've seen glimpses of degeneracy is all I'm saying. And thus I'm worried, is this degenerate?
Well, Rem.
Shaun, is this a horny show?
Well, Rem, let me tell you a bit about the author.
All right, he didn't say give me a yes or no answer, so I'm frightened. Tell me about the author, Shaun.
The author is Rumiko Takahashi, and the thing you know her for is Inuyasha. Yeah, she's the original author of Inuyasha, but she's also known for several other manga from this period. And by most accounts, everybody seems to like just about everything she puts out for the most part. Though a lot of her peak stuff was, from the 80s and 90s, and got adapted in the mid-90s to early 2000s, essentially. And what we're going to be talking about right now is kind of the incredibly popular middle child that definitely inspired a lot of its genre, let's say.
Oh, motherfucker. All right. Okay, yep. We're here now. All right. I know I'm in the train. I'm looking outside being like, "Hey, wait a minute." But I'm in the train. Like, I can't.
Well, I mean, this anime also helped a lot of people really come to terms with who they are as a person as well.
Right, okay. Continue. Keep going.
And, when it got a remake, it was widely anticipated, incredibly popular, and people were excited because not only were they hoping for a great adaptation done by, it was Studio Mappa, I believe, and they were hoping for a remake that cut out a lot of the bad stuff from the 80s.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Because Ranma One Half, if you had to guess with a name like that, what kind of show do you think it would be? No thoughts, no guesses?
I think we're diving into degeneracy, Shaun.
No, Rem. We're diving into a little bit of action, a little bit of comedy, A little bit of romance?
No, action,
You know.
comedy, and romance. Look, I know what these are codes for, all right? They so rarely give a fuck about the action. They so rarely give a fuck about the comedy. And then the romance is just sprinkled into just... All of these are just excuses to justify the horny.
But this is a female author, Rem.
It's a tale as old as time, Shaun. Women can be degenerate and horny, too.
This is one of the most beloved authors of her generation,
But that's
Rem.
possibly because, like, oh, dude, it's crazy. She's not just doing the same old shit. She's creating horny shit, brother. Oh my god. And though she got respect from that generation of fucking weebs.
What if I told you that this helped a lot of people come to terms with their gender identity, Rem?
That is great news for them.
I can't help but feel like you don't believe me, Rem.
Sure, why not? Anything can, I guess.
Okay, let me tell you more about the show then. Ranma 1/2 is about our main character, Ranma Saotome. And he is a martial artist. And he's spending some time in China to practice his skills and his techniques and trying to learn to be better at, the punch fighting that all people his age want to do.
Sure.
All of this changes or goes a little bit awry when they have a bit of an accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, they accidentally get themselves cursed, unfortunately.
Okay, all right. So it's cursed now. We're doing a little reverse Mulan action here. Except it's unwilling. And then it's like, oh god, oh no, I don't trust. Well, I guess it's the remake. So I imagine that the original did not handle these themes particularly well. I am skeptical that the remake will, but maybe. But it has a better
That'll
chance.
all depend on the future, Rem. That depends on the future. Like, we'll have to go and revisit the original in the future. It'll just depend on how you feel about this one.
All right. Well, you gotta slow your fucking roll. Let's survive this week.
What can I say, Rem? I like to look towards the future. I'm a man of the people.
I occasionally peek over at the future, and when I don't like what I see, I burrow myself back down into the ground.
And it's my job to drag you towards that future.
I'm like, is it still looking fucked? Yep. All right. Well, not much I can do about that.
Well, Remington, both his father and himself get cursed. His father has a curse that, unfortunately, turned him into a panda.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Specifically, he turns into a panda whenever he is doused with freezing cold water.
And this helped people understand their gender identity of being a panda.
Yes. We don't get enough panda representation in the world, and I figured that was important.
If anything, we get way too much panda representation, not nearly enough panda. Like...
Yeah, well, I mean, when you are the one animal that, like, one of the few animals that is, like, determined almost not to reproduce, like...
Yeah.
It does make your whole longevity as a species thing a little tricky. But hey, if all you eat is bamboo, it's hard to get the energy to do much of anything. But that's his curse, and he can be turned back with the opposite, being hot water. Whereas Ranma has a slightly different curse, Rem. Ranma's curse is that whenever they get doused with cold water, they turn into a girl.
I don't think... I'm not confident in how this will handle this topic. Either the topic of gender identity in and of itself, or even just the topic of, like, masculinity and femininity.
Mm-hmm.
Anime and gender relations. They don't go together well, historically.
Well, there are some great examples of it, though.
Sure, there are diamonds in the rough, but the rough is rough.
Well, and this is the 2024 remake of this anime.
All right, okay.
So in theory, a modern adaptation of this manga, condensed and turned into something more fit for modern audiences, should cut out all the stuff from the 80s that might not have been the most cup of tea. The other sticking point of this plot is it's not just, that, oh no, he can turn into a girl now. There's a sticking point where he has been made aware of his current betrothal to one of the daughters of his father's friends. And, both Ranma and Akane, the daughter in question, aren't exactly thrilled by this. And the story starts with them, being in a situation that they don't want to be in, just with this curse mixed in as a little bit of extra spice and flavoring. And of course, the fights that come with everything.
All right.
It's a very popular manga, right?
I'm going to cross my fingers that I'm pleasantly surprised, but I don't have...
You didn't have many issues with Inuyasha.
Sure.
So a story by the same author can't be that bad, right?
Don't know if that's how that goes.
I mean, come on. Has a author who made a really good book ever made really bad books too?
Oh, you know what? It hasn't happened a single time, actually.
No.
You
And
caught
definitely
me.
popular authors who made okay books haven't made some of the worst books on the face of the planet either. That's definitely never
Of
happened.
course not.
No. But Rem, it's a very popular remake. People have been wanting us to cover it for ages, including like friends of the show. Surely, this is going to be a grand experience that'll make everybody happy.
Yeah, sure.
So I think that about covers it. So without further ado, let's go watch the remake of the beloved manga Ranma 1/2. All right, I am recording now, and let's get started in 3, 2, 1, mark. And we are back after watching the first 3 episodes of the hit 2024 remake of Ranma 1/2. And tell me, Remington, did it awaken anything in ya? And man, wasn't this just a grand experience that you are so excited to relate to our friends at the Anime 80s podcast and all the people who grew up with this show?
Shaun, we'll address all of those things in a moment, but first, I would like to talk about a completely different show. I would like to instantly derail things.
Interesting. We've never done that before. Definitely has never happened once before in our many years of doing this podcast. We've always been right on target with everything we do.
People always write in. They're like, "Wow, how do you guys stay so focused
and so consistent?" We come here for the serious,
consistent,
straightforward reviews of our favorite shows.
Fortunately for you, Shaun, and the listeners, it's talking about another anime. All right, so we're still in the weebosphere.
That actually scares me more because rarely do you like to bring up other anime.
I'm bringing up I'm gonna be talking about a popular anime. All right.
Okay.
Shaun, have you heard of this anime called Naruto? This little hidden gem.
Rem, I might have seen it in my local comic book shop once or twice.
Yeah. You can do a little skimming. It'll pop up.
Yeah. No. Like, I mean, it's not that big of a series. I mean, it's only a couple chapters long.
So, Naruto, it's a handful of different genres, of course.
Yeah.
Like overarching shonen, it's got a little bit of everything. It's got your action. It's got your romance. It's got, of course, plenty of silly comedy. Some might say, "Oh, good lord, that's a lot of comedy." Sometimes it's just meaningless comedy, and sometimes it's not very funny comedy, and it just seems to go on forever, right? But comedy, it's there. But Shaun, if I were to ask you, what's your favorite part about Naruto, if you had to choose?
Well, I would say probably a combination of the action and the occasional genuine human moments.
Okay, all right. Well, let's narrow this. What's your favorite joke or gag or humorous bit in Naruto?
My favorite joke from Naruto. Oh God. My favorite joke from Naruto. Wow, there are quite a few. I mean, Guy Sensei. I like Guy Sensei. Anytime he's on screen, that's pretty great.
All right. So, for instance, Shaun, from your response right there, I would not recommend you watch Ranma 1/2.
Hey Rem, is this because you think Ranma 1/2 has a lot in common with the perverted sexy jutsu gag?
Yes, it is, Shaun. You see, I think Ranma 1/2. If you watched Naruto, right, as many people have, and you think the sexy jutsu is truly peak comedy, if you think that, it does not get funnier than sexy jutsu, Ranma 1/2 is the show for you. If you fall outside of that criteria, Ranma 1/2 is probably not for you. Because, and I cannot emphasize this enough, the almost singular joke that they keep going is, haha, oh wow, I've turned you into a girl, or oh whoops, you got turned into a girl. So if you're the kind of person who's like finds something like sexy jutsu, just, you know, guys becoming women, if you think that's hilarious, then perfect, this is the show. Sometimes, I will say, sometimes Ranma One Half does dabble into a variant of the joke, where instead of haha, I've turned you into a girl, it's haha, I've turned you into a panda for his dad. Which, you know, equally funny jokes.
Interesting.
And so I just thought, you know, I would quickly translate into weep terms so that the weeps can know whether they would like the show or not. And I think that gives them their answer. I think that is a very clear, like, heuristic, just a little shortcut that they can take to figure out whether the show is for them.
I see. So it's either sexy jutsu or nothing is the criteria for this.
I mean, I struggled to find a lot of other value that could be derived from this show, yeah.
I mean, I will say in the sexy jutsu's defense, Rem, there is one time in Naruto where it did genuinely make me laugh out loud, but that's because it was broken out in the, like, major climax of the show, and it actually worked, but not in the way it was supposed to. And that made me laugh, but again, that's like 700 episodes into the show, so I don't know if there's much other redeeming factors for that.
Following through with the analogy, if Ranma One Half gets 700 episodes in, I think you, Shaun, will find one of those episodes hilarious. I think that's the kind of hit rate it would be for you. Somebody else, it could have a much higher hit rate. Every time they see sexy jutsu, they're laughing their ass off or getting very horny. Either response is acceptable for Ranma One Half. And so in either case, oh boy, there you go. This will be the perfect show for you. But for you specifically, Shaun, for every 700 episodes of Ranma One Half, I think you will find one hilarious.
Yeah, that's a bit rough considering it only has 407 chapters to Naruto's 500, so it probably wouldn't even get to that point.
Well, yeah, there's, you know, there's still a percentage chance that you'll find one of the episodes that exists or will exist hilarious, even if it doesn't quite get there. It's not, you know, it's not necessarily a locked in chance anymore, but I truly cannot emphasize just how often they tell that one joke. In fact, not even just that one joke. That one joke, it's not just all of the humor in the show, it's most of the show. So, of course, Ranma, he turns into, like, takes his female form when he touches cold water. And boy, oh boy, in this world, let me tell you, it looks a lot like our world. But everybody has cold water at all times. There is not a single motherfucker without a cold water bucket in their hands that they're pouring out for one reason or another at all times. Which, you know, it would just be a quirk for you or I, but for Ranma, oh my goodness, they're very literal booby traps everywhere.
Oh god. I mean, look, man, when you got the core premise of the show, you got to make sure that these situations come up, you know? Otherwise, where are you going to get your gags and your conflict?
Yeah.
Unless there's cold water everywhere, like, I mean, oof.
Yeah, like, you could try to figure out how to, like, I don't know, tell an organic story, but you have one joke, so you need to figure out ways to keep repeating that one joke. There is no other substance. You have the one joke, so every moment that you're not telling that joke, you need to be thinking, how can you tell that joke? I guess we can touch briefly on the plot. He gets in an arranged marriage with a misandrist, I guess. Her character trait, Akane, is that she hates men. And they're like, oh, and she's a good fighter. But she's shit compared to Ranma. Absolutely ass. Ranma is miles above her, alright? She can look kind of impressive against random ensemble who we'll never see again. But for Ranma, oh, no fucking chance. Why not just let her be a good fighter or something, man? There's also two other sisters. One who sells nude pics of her sisters and of female Ranma to men, and the other one who's dating a chiropractor. And that's all the character we've gotten from them in these 3 episodes. And Akane also, I guess, likes the chiropractor and is sad that the chiropractor is dating her sister. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It really, I don't give a shit about them. It just doesn't matter. Also, I understand why Ranma is there to stay and like set up for the arranged marriage and train or whatever the fuck, right? I don't know why Ranma's dad has basically also started living there.
Oh, I mean, like they're friends. The dads are friends, so it makes sense that they would want to hang out a little bit. Also, how else are you gonna get funny panda moments if Panda Man's not around?
Yeah, here's the thing. All right, look, I'm a sucker for a cute panda. All right, and a funny panda and a charming panda. Pandas are great. It's just not the panda never does anything interesting. The panda isn't fun. It's a lame panda because once again, they don't care about generating humor from them being a panda. The closest we get to any of that is, hey, pandas can't talk. But mostly the main joke revolving around the panda is, haha, I've turned you into a panda, which it doesn't work for me. It's not making me guffaw. We meet a guy at their school who's really into Akane, and then also starts crushing on Ranma's female form, and I don't care about him at all either. I don't care about these characters, Shaun. What's terrifying to me is, like, theoretically this should be the upgrade, right? In these 3 episodes, where all the characters are either bland and or trash, and nothing interesting is happening. I'm not invested in the characters, the relationships, the borderline non-existent plot. I will say sometimes the art looks decent and sometimes the action moments are decent. Neither particularly exceptional thus far, but sometimes they are not actively bad, and so that is swell. Other than that, everything is pretty actively bad, which terrifies me to think what it used to be.
Well, Remington, just as a reminder, this manga was originally written in 1986.
Oh. I mean, here's the thing. It feels like that.
Oh, excuse me, 1987. I was off by a year. My bad.
It feels like that. So I'm like, what did they change? Because it feels dated. It feels exactly, I guess, like, other than it being more smoothly animated than I'd anticipate from the 80s, like, the rest of the sensibilities seem pretty in line, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, it was originally written in 1987 and ran all the way up to 1996 with about 407 chapters.
What the fuck?
Incredibly popular action gag anime from the 80s and early 90s.
But why?
I suppose that was the sense of humor at the time in Japan, Rem. That is, as somebody who's read a good handful of manga from that time period, it tracks. I mean, I haven't read a lot of Ranma, but I will say the more interesting stuff comes when they, actually turn them into characters and focus on, like, more of the action stuff rather than, just the same handful of gags over and over again.
Yeah, because so far, the comedy and the romance, which have been the 2 main elements, oh god, it's such generic, bland, meaningless trash.
You might say, Rem, that I put off watching this show for the longest time because I was like, I didn't vibe with early Ranma, so I don't think I'm gonna enjoy the first handful of episodes of the remake.
But of course, Shaun, I knew that you wouldn't vibe with Ranma because you don't think sexy jutsu is hilarious.
I mean, that is true.
I already knew. I like that as a heuristic, I think pretty well works. I think if you're like, man, I love Naruto, especially sexy jutsu, watch Ranma 1/2. There you go.
I will say, in defense of the show itself, I think there are better moments in the total of the 12 episodes. But look, man, it's a remake, and the first test of a remake is you gotta sell people in the first couple of episodes. And I had a sneaking suspicion that this particular line of gags wouldn't really do it for you, Rem. But man, did I think it would be funny to show this show to you to see what would happen.
Oh yeah, it's just trash. It is just.
So you think anybody who likes this show is a trash person and are the worst people on the planet? Understandable.
Hey, no,
right.
I just disagree with them. All right, and I also.
So you're canceling Eggfest. I understand. You're not a fan of people of exploring their gender identity. Rem, that's okay. We all have a right to our own opinion. If you want to be that curmudgeon on the podcast, I guess that's your right.
Look.
It just kind of seems antithetical to everything we've preached so far.
while I can accept and understand how, especially, growing up in the 80s or 90s, how this could have helped people realize things about themselves one way or another, right? I would argue that largely it's not because it is a great resource or great representation. Rather, it was kind of the only thing available.
So you're saying, but based on pure lack of options, this was the best option.
Yeah, I don't think that it, like, from my impression, it's very far from anything I would consider, like, good trans representation or a great tool to help people learn about themselves. And more so, I would say, hey, if this is the only form of any kind of representation you ever saw, and it made you consider a few things and realize some things about yourself, that is great. I'm sorry you weren't around when there were better resources available. so that I'm happy that you found something. I wish there was more for you to find. I wish it didn't have to be Ranma. It shouldn't have had to be Ranma to help you realize that. It should have been something way better.
And all the people who really wanted you to cover this show because they thought you would enjoy it. What do you have to say to them?
I don't think they exist. I think you've created a fictional.
You hear that, Mackenzie? You don't exist. Congratulations.
I don't think Mackenzie is being serious. I don't think they're saying such things in good faith. All right. But I can see how something like this, right, where you can sort of playfully engage with gender nonconformity, there's like an interesting element there that I do think is compelling, and it's like resonant in a way for a lot of people. Where one way that Ranma, and this is the closest I'll come to giving it credit or saying it's good representation, but one way that it may even be like favorable when it comes to representation, or at least people like realizing things about themselves in comparison to genuine trans stories, is I think a lot of people, when confronted with alternative identities, they're so ingrained in what they already know, right? That when it's like, hey, what about this? You're like, oh, well, I know already I'm not that, so I don't even need to consider it. But when you have something like Ranma, where it's not presenting somebody who is like eager to transition, or who even necessarily feels like they're a different gender, or even really experience any dysphoria, like Ranma is just comfortable in whatever form. But the strange non-consensuality of the gender play, or at least the quote-unquote non-consensuality, where it's like a bunch of like guy friends being like, hey, we're gonna put you in a dress and high heels, right? And then they do, and it's like they're razzing ya, but then you're like, oh shit, this is great, actually. I'm vibing with this more than I thought. But you can't admit that because of the weird social games that we play, so instead you end up being like, oh man, oh, I'm so embarrassed, oh, blah blah blah, and that kind of becomes a ritual that then can help you discover yourself and shit like that. It's like Ranma can be a strange avenue in that way, where it's like, no, yeah, definitely not trans or anything, but if you were to transform into a girl randomly, of course outside of your control, you would never do it if it was in your control. But like if it happened outside your control, how would that
Fellas,
be?
is it gay to be a woman?
And I think that I think it like provides a very weird excuse that shouldn't have to exist. Like in an ideal world, you can just feel comfortable enough with yourself that you can like experiment or try different things. But very often it takes pseudo non-consent, which is a weird phrase, but it's applicable, right? Where you're like pretending not to consent to gender play, even if it's what you actually want. Similar things can happen with sexuality, or plenty of other just like random things where I'm reminded of Victorian manners, where it's like, oh, a woman has to refuse. She has to say no, right? Even even though the game is that they need to be chased, they need to refuse for some reason, even though they want to say yes, which then ends up in a weird, like rape culture-y vibe, 100 to 200 years later. Repression. It ain't great. It ain't great, turns out.
No, I would argue probably not the best.
And if anything, repression is like a reason that people have to play these weird games of pretending you aren't interested so that you can experiment and engage with things that are acceptable to happen to you if you don't want them, but unacceptable if you want them. Oh yeah, our friend, just a bunch of frat bros, right? Oh yeah, our friend wearing a dress because we forced him to? Hell yeah. Wearing a dress of his own free will? Nah, man. Like, it doesn't make sense, but that is often a lot of pockets of society that we live in. So that's my ramble of the very niche way that Ranma can help repressed motherfuckers. Because it's a way to like play with gender while pretending you're not.
So perfect for the 80s then.
Yeah. You know.
Oh god. But yeah, Ranma's a very popular, very beloved series for a lot of people. In fact, most of the things that Rumiko Takahashi has written and drawn have been very beloved, like since she originally started in 1978. And and Ranma was the thing that came out right before Inuyasha. And Inuyasha, I would argue, is probably her best work overall, because it takes all of the good things from her previous works and then applies an actual story to them, more or less.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's at least like brief moments where I didn't think it was ever good, but there were moments where I was like, that could be okay. And that's about the look, man. I'm trying to be as generous as humanly possible here with fucking Ranma 1/2. But I think we all knew
the timeless beloved series.
Look, if you're nostalgic, horny, or you find sexy jutsu hilarious, it's fine. It's fine. All right, it's fine.
But not for you.
Not for me.
Not for you. Okay, so you'll just keep repressing then. I see. Interesting choice. Interesting thing to come out of that.
God damn it.
Look, man, Eggfest is year round, baby.
And hey, we're always celebrating Eggfest, all right? This isn't an Eggfest show necessarily. Like this, you've taken Jell-O and you've molded it in the shape of an egg, and you're like, here's an egg, and I'm like, that's not an egg.
Look, man, like, to part the kimono a little bit, we recorded this episode over Easter weekend, so I thought it'd be appropriate.
Eggs.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. But we know how you feel, Rem. What do you think the weebs think? What do you think the Mal score is?
Oh, God. I mean, there's plenty of nostalgia, which will win it a bunch of points. The weebs had to have liked it in the first place for it to be so successful.
Rem, it is one of the most popular manga from its time period.
Oh, God. Oh, is it? Oh.
In its particular genre, at least.
But that was an ancient era. That was the olden days. Surely. Oh, man. Okay. All right.
Yeah, because how many old fucks would get on a forum and rank an anime?
For me, what I'm debating is whether it hits that 8 or not. Because my intuition is like, no, come on now. But nostalgia is so powerful for the weebs. It's so powerful for the weebs.
If it helps, Rem, it has been about 5 months since it finished airing, so there's enough time for the initial honeymoon period to be over by then.
I don't know if it will. I'm gonna say 7.91.
Okay.
It could be higher due to nostalgia.
And nostalgia alone.
Yeah. Well, and the other two factors. I mean, lots of people must like sexy jutsu, I imagine. Like, there's gotta be. It wouldn't be such a common joke in Naruto if there wasn't somebody out there who liked it, right?
Well, I mean, Ranma had fully finished by the time the first chapter of Naruto was released, so, I mean, there must be some overlap there. I'm not saying Kishimoto was inspired by Ranma one half, but it's looking back, there might be some overlap.
Yeah.
Considering that's like his go-to gag when it comes to Naruto and other shenanigans. But yeah, okay. Well, Rem, Ranma 1 half, the 2024 remake, is sitting nice and pretty at an 8.02.
I knew it was going to be an 8. I knew it, and I didn't want to believe it.
Because genuinely, Rem, nostalgia is incredibly powerful. But more like most of the reviews here, they just like it for what it is. It's one of those weebisms that they can look past the sexy jutsu. Maybe they enjoy it. Maybe they're just like, it's just part of the fun.
All right, but what did they change? What's different?
What did they change?
What's different from the remake to the old one?
Well, Rem, you're just gonna have to find out when we cover
I don't know. Fuck you! Get the fuck out of here, you piece of shit.
Rem, look, we've never done a remake and not done the original. Like, come on, like we got to do the original eventually, right?
I don't think I will obtain any value from such an exercise.
Why not, Rem?
I think I'll come back saying the same fucking shit. All right, if we do it, I'm just gonna find a transcript of whatever the fuck I said in this part 2, and I'm just gonna start reading it. And people will be like, oh, that's a funny bit. And then it'll keep going. People are going to be like, oh, haha, what a fun callback. And then it'll keep going. And they'll be like, oh, is this the whole part 2? And the answer will be yes. And it'll quickly become unfunny and people will stop listening. And then they'll stop listening forever. They're like, man, boy, does he commit to a bit, even when it's no longer funny.
I mean, that's been your MO from day one, man. You could probably write your fucking autobiography with that as the title. Oh, God. But I'll give you at least a brief little insight. They sped up the pacing a decent amount.
Fucking hell.
Most of the stuff that happens in the first 3 episodes is the same in both series.
Okay, all right.
But overall, everything after that, is much faster. Granted, I've not watched VOG yet. At least not in years, I should say, because I've had other things to do. But from reading brief summaries of the episode, so I'd at least have a comparison point, it appears as though that they've given the old 1.5 times speed on the story beats and such.
Good.
Which is what people wanted. That is what people wanted. Whether or not it continues in a satisfying way, I mean, that's for the Ranma fans to say. And I'm sure they will, because I'm sure they're coming for you after this one, Rem.
Hey, just know, even if Shaun doesn't say it, all right, you heard him say that sexy jutsu was only funny one time, all right? So you know his feelings about this show, even if he doesn't say it.
I mean, look, I feel like people will back me up on that one time it was funny. I feel like people will back me up because, look, man, the fact that they whipped it out at the literal climax of the story, out of nowhere, and in a way that was different from before, and it was successful.
Hey, man.
All those factors.
Every single time they pull out sexy jutsu, it's a climax for Shaun, am I right?
Okay, listen here. Look, man, I just wish sexy jutsu was real so that,
Oh, no, I know, Shaun, I know. You don't need to finish.
No.
I understand.
So...
I get it. You don't...
No, let me finish, motherfucker.
You don't need to.
Let me finish. I want to say what I want to say.
Everybody, all of our listeners knew that about you already.
I'm not saying I'm going to wear a dress to a convention, Remington. But what I am saying is that I think it would be great for all of our trans audience members.
Oh my God.
But, or anybody who has any kind of, who wants to experiment with gender a little bit.
Sure.
The transformation jutsu in general would be nice, I think.
Sure.
Look, man, I'm just trying to honor Eggfest as best I can.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're thrilled you chose Ranma to do that.
Honestly, I think they are. I think they are. I think it would be funny. Hey, man, you could have chosen the one that wasn't Eggfest related at all. Unless you think there, an abnormal amount of trans people really love My Hero Academia. That could be true. I don't have the statistics for that.
It's gotta have one, at least like femboy or something, right?
I think just the fact that there are so many people who have wildly varied body shapes has to like fit in that demographic somewhat. You know, it's the furry part of the Venn diagram, you know? Like, I feel like there's got to be something there. If you have a perspective on that, please let us know. Because alas, we are but the stereotypical podcaster, so you know we only have our perspective. Oh goodness. But Rem, I guess that just leaves the final question. Any chance you want to watch a little more Ranma? Maybe watch the OG
No!
just for the comparison point.
No, I'm fine.
But Rem, it got such a high score.
I'm fine. Look, I'm living La Vida Loca until I die La Morta Loca. That's my MO.
You have such a way with words, my friend. And with that, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you enjoy Remington just absolutely demolishing this year's Eggfest,
Oh my God.
then please head over to wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a review. They mean the world to us, and we do read every single one. And if that is still not enough for you, you can head on over to twitch.tv/animeoutcontext, where myself, Dylan, and Remington occasionally play video games very poorly. And if that is still not enough for you, patreon.com/animeoutcontext, where you can access all kinds of lovely bonus material, including the opportunity to be thanked live on the podcast. So, Rem, who are we thanking this week?
Well, as always, we would like to send our regards to all of our Blend Bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we get to our yandere waifus, who are pouring cold water all over us and seeing what we transform into. Which, side note, all of the curses where, like, you get dropped in a pool and you end up transforming into a thing, it's all from things or people who have drowned? What the fuck was that about?
I mean,
there were a lot of those pools.
Yeah, hey, dog, it's gotta be said, old school fairy tales are pretty dark.
You're just like, oh man, yeah, that's the place that everybody drowns at, and it's like, oh, we probably shouldn't go there. And it's like, well, there's a few more pools that aren't cursed. Like, you could make your mark, you could make your legacy. On this list we have, I still don't perfectly know how to decipher the new emojis, but it's horny for bunny butt. Yandere Neko, Wolfire 56. Why does everything want banana, Shaun? Where's our DBC review, you ginger fuck? Wes Kane, week 9 of using my Patreon name to request code geese. Watching Requiem for Spoon Man at 0.5 speed. Variant, totally good. Titan CNH, the Susanator, the Sound of Something, the Opie Wrangler, formerly known as Mommy Milkers. The Danish Viking will conquer the world with Renora Zoro as my navigator. That time I reincarnated as a podcast host and forced to weeb. Has no place in Fairy Tale's 100 Girlfriends. Turban, Tainted Venom, Swaraj Verdi, Super Zoo, stole a nut from each of the Shonen Flop guys, thanks for distracting them. Stacy's mom. Shaun wants to give Spoon Man a thank and yank. Shaun cucked by Judy while he soaks in the Pope's ass. Shaun's vigorous soaking has killed
God,
the Pope. That's what did it. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you that in the news reports.
No, we all know that it was because he had the misfortune of meeting the vice president.
Look,
we know that.
Well, and how did he de-stress after that? All right, that would be my follow-up.
I did not kill the Pope.
I don't think you did it intentionally. All right.
You're gonna get me excommunicated from a church I'm not the part of.
He was getting up there, and so like he gets a little bit too excited. Like it does happen. It's tragic, but it does happen. Shout out to all of our Catholic listeners.
What Catholic listeners?
We actually have several thousand streams from within the Vatican, so the odds are pretty good we actually have some Catholic listeners. Well, and the people from Boston.
Happy Easter, everybody. Shaun's heir apparent. Shaun, show me fire. Really, Easter? That's Shaun's holiday right there, right? You get Bunny and Pope all at once? Like, god damn. Shaun, show me Fire Force so I can enjoy the opening and ending songs. #OneNutRollins. Shaun ruined my happy sugar life when he told the Pope, remember you are dust, for my singular nut is about to bust.
God, these feel awkward.
Look,
this feels so awkward.
Look, can we not have a little bit of fun when one of the single most powerful people alive bites the dust? Like, I mean...
Oh, I mean, we can. The only downside is a lot of people actually liked this one.
Sure. So just skip this bit.
Oh,
skip
God,
this
look.
bit, and maybe also, if you're in that category and a patron, like, skip the next pre-banter. And just, it's fine. It's all
Oh,
fine.
no.
All right?
Oh, no. What do you have? No, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. Keep reading.
Shaun reminds me of half the trans girls I know. Shaun, quit soaking with my grandma, please. Shaun, do your Duolingo, or no Judy for you, goon by yourself. Seraphim the Shark plushie. Ryan Moody. Ross Palmer. Riding on the struggle bus. Rhiannon Williams. Remington is right. Remy Milk is the quenchiest. Rem uses the drums of liberation to free all weeps from bad anime. Rem say haiku about Shaun soaking in Judy. Rem doesn't completely hate my favorite shows. Red Venom. Professor Fox. Pro tips out of context has run out of things to post. Will come back soon. Please watch 86. Good shit, fam. Please make a sexy Rem, Shaun, and Dylan calendar. PJ Turtle. PJSK Addict watched the Project Sakai movie this weekend and loved it 10 out of 10 and wants to hear a different perspective. Paco El Musico. Never letting Rem forget about his vampire past. See, what's interesting about this one, I'm like, is this talking, perhaps just like you could be referencing Rosario Vampire. You could also just be you could be somebody I know in real life. And I'm not going to clarify that. And here's the thing. If it's somebody I know in real life, I can't be 100% sure what they're referring to. There's contenders, but there's multiple contenders
Rem,
with like different spheres of people.
Yeah, Rem, as somebody who knows all of your vampire history,
yeah, like
it's way more vast than the average person.
And like I stumbled into it each time. But yeah. I just, I assume this is just a random podcast listener referencing some podcast shit, but they may not.
Or they genuinely believe you're a vampire.
Or they may genuinely believe I'm a vampire, but they could also be somebody who just knows me.
That is true.
Miss Baggy Pan. Miska watched the first episode of 25 new anime series for this season and is filled with regret, says a nauseous Miska. Yeah, don't do that.
Hey, look, as somebody who has to do it for this job, let me tell you.
Let me tell you right now, all right? We've already fucked this patron reads up. We fucked them right up. Let me tell you the strat, all right? You never watch what's currently airing, all right? You always want to be at least one season behind. And this is for the people who want to stay relatively up to date. You want to stay at least one season behind and then just watch all the shit that everybody was like, yeah, it had a good start to a good end. It was good all the way through. Then you don't need to sift through the bullshit, all right? You don't need to be the sieve. Don't be the sawdust sieve. You're better than that.
Rem, that is literally my job.
Well, yeah, you get paid for it, so fuck you, Shaun. But I'm talking to the people, all right? The ones who matter.
Well, guess who's changing what we're covering next week?
Whoa. You're my favorite Civ. You're my favorite Civ, but they shouldn't have to be a Civ. Let Shaun be your Civ, all right? That's what he's here for.
Start reading the names again, you bastard.
He's the communal Civ. Mikeka 7 Hierto, Macaroni and Cheesehaw, Lucky Stars, the King of Moe, Link Joe Curl, The Nerd 98, King Ritra, Cassidy, Jax, Jam Hands, Jake Dent. I'm making Rem say ethnic slurs until you bring back the Chef No Musco tier, Shaun, you whitey. I will never get more Ace of the Diamond now, I cry. I did the jump hump for Rem and Shaun soaking. I can't believe I made an account for this. Hide the Easter Bunny, Shaun's on the prowl. Fun fact, when you think about it, think about all the eggs the Easter Bunny is laying. Man, Easter Bunny, that's a MILF right there.
Does the Easter Bunny lay the eggs? Is that the common belief?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Oh, God.
Right out of its Easter cloaca.
I hate everything
the
about
Easter
that.
Bunny has a cloaca.
You know, it's probably a good thing people skip the Patreon reads.
Gordon Ramsay's raw sausage, Glenn Michael Dolan, George Edward Bottom, aka Bear Trap, brought to you by Penguin Demon, G-Thing72, Fern the Fern, Farmer Weaver supports Blue Sky Manager for Code Geese, don't forget to kill all the Japanese, Fantide, Erica McCorkle, Daniel Riot, Daddy Rum tell me a bedtime story about Shaun's nut, Calderius, Cheese Monkey, Butler Rat pushed his body way too far, pushing a 900-kilogram tractor for 1 kilometer through mud uphill, might not be good for the body, Brockhart for Geodudes, donate to the Immune Deficiency Foundation through Seed Dog VA Cyclothon, Boring Siren, Blarf, Blackout Drunk Before Butts Up, says Miska, Bento Kato, Amazing Muffin, Aisha Gudgy, a Moe piece of trash, 12 Days Xmas Suggestion 2, Super Lovers, both seasons, and now we move on to the Boy Wizard tier. What are they going to get this week, Shaun?
Man, they are going to get a lovely animal in Asia to transform into.
All right, and we start with your friendly neighborhood commie.
You know? All right. They get the Asian elephant.
Then we have, Shaun, I think Titaro is my favorite patron. Sorry, y'all.
The Asiatic black bear.
Umbrasite.
The Baiji.
Trocoon Operator number 42.
Oh, I'm sorry. Beluga whale.
That Mouse Girl.
Bengal tiger.
Starting that fate grind.
A binturong.
Spoonman the Aristocrat.
A Burmese ferret badger. All right.
Silent Secondary.
Caracal.
Shilling time for Bang Dream. It's my go and Ave Mujica, says Mitsuka, as Mitsuka nods in agreement.
Clouded leopard.
Scourge has Mitsuka and an IRL girlfriend now.
Crab eating macaque.
Sammy K is finally over her con crud and remembered to change her name.
How about, you know what? You get the panda. Congratulations.
Roscoe.
You get the red panda.
Power Cell begs Shaun to stop soaking in his low punny. He still has a couple gym badges he needs to earn.
God. The great Jerboa.
Monogatari is everything you ever said you want in anime. This week the MC is one bad character trait, but he knows.
Let's go with, the Javan mongoose.
Mitsuka wants to know why you played Harikage. Why? Yells Mitsuka as she scolds around.
Oh, I didn't know these were... how about a narwhal?
Mitsuka still wants to know why you played that song. Why did you play Harikage?
How about... Let's go with the sun bear.
Mitsuka is a regulation listener that used to listen to Face Jam, but now listens to 100% Eat, says Mitsuka.
Yeah.
Mike.
You get... how about the blood python?
Wow. Miguel DeLeon.
Burmese python.
I'd like to start a petition to replace the word brat with kudere.
The... Almost mispronounced that. The Cochin forest cane turtle.
It's March, time for Bang Dream. It's my go and Ave Mujica, says Mitsuka, who's playing Harikage.
How about a gharial?
I thought Ocean's Motion was best, Shaun showed me.
The hump-nosed pit viper.
Hidden Otaku.
Hawksbill sea turtle.
Crimson Reapers just because of the scythes.
The impressed tortoise.
Not the impressive, the impressed.
Man, it's hard to impress a tortoise, so really, you're going places if you can do that.
Captain Beagleboy wants One Piece on episode 400.
The keeled box turtle.
Carver 271.
King cobra.
Beethoven 1201.
Oscillated shield tail. I have no idea what that is.
Allfather prepares to riot for Pride Month. He does not want a repeat of last year, Shaun.
Not my fault. Not my fault. I gave most of that last year was recommendations. Red sand
Shaun, your main job is curation. That's what you do. Everything's been recommended, and you choose which recommendations.
Those were the ones specifically that I had the most requests for, damn it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Seems sussy.
They have the red sand boa. That's fine.
All right, now we move on to the inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier, where Shaun will... Where my mind wants to go is Shaun as Joey Wheeler will tell you a story about an animal or person that tragically drowned.
My Christ.
It's the show! It's the show!
I'm aware.
Instead, I will say that Shaun as Joey Wheeler will... See, my mind just keeps going to tragic drownings. Which is not...
We're trying to remind people that living is the better part of this whole ordeal.
Where Shaun will reincarnate somebody who is tragically drowned. See, it's positive because they're coming back to life. And I, as Joey Wheeler, will tell you how they are as your new best friend. So, Shaun, if you could just look up famous
people who've drowned.
Famous victims of drowning for me, you could just... But it's positive because we're bringing them back to life to be your best friends.
Considering that a very famous mangaka died because of drowning in like the past 3 years, I don't know. Maybe. Hold on. Famous drowns.
Oh, this is fucked.
I don't know who. Oh, right. Oh, fucking. Why is there a whole section on onthisday.com famous people who accidentally drown? You know what? I'm gonna stick with people that have black and white photos, so yeah.
Probably smart. Probably a decent idea. We start with Shaun, I would flood the earth for a moment alone with you, a pair of handcuffs and a taser.
Let's go with Maxentius, the Roman emperor.
Okay.
Who the only picture they used is of a statue that is not very flattering, if I'm being honest. Here you go, Ram.
he comes back to life, becomes your best friend, right? And with this newfound relationship, he decides he wants to start a new empire. And you convince him, hey, it's not that we don't do that anymore, but we shouldn't do that anymore, and we kind of pretend we don't do that anymore, so we shouldn't do that anymore. And so instead, you start a business together. And initially he's like, hey, what if we do, what if we did something like Little Caesars? And you're like, oh, that's taken. But you get a different pizza place. You have Big Titus. That's how you guys go. Then we have It's a Sad Week to be Shaun after he lost his soaking partner, Pope Francis, to the big hole.
Holy shit, my god. Oh boy. You can have Bartolomeu Dias, who is a Portuguese explorer from the what is that, the 13th century? 1450. That
I'm starting to think that Shaun just loves imperialism.
Look, man, I'm trying to pick people that won't get me canceled. That's what I'm going with.
Well, as your new best friend, you and Mr. Diaz here, you guys are gonna go on a fun little boating adventure. You're gonna show him a speedboat, and it's gonna blow his fucking mind. And last but not least, we have Follow Anime Out of Context on Blue Sky. Is Shaun a necrophiliac since he is still soaking with the Pope? Ubauk.
Jesus Christ.
And of course, on the Blue Sky, they mentioned Remington's word of the day: unnecessary. Look, I say it a lot in these reviews, and that's because I am overwhelmed with the triviality and frivolity both of the shows I watch and of my own existence.
You can have Frederick Catherwood, who was an artist and explorer from the England in the 16th century. God, is it +1 or -1 if it's in the 1700s? I can't remember. Look, man, it's because like first century would be like 0 to 100, yeah?
Yeah.
So 100 to 200 would be the second century. Okay, yeah, so I am right. All right, right. Okay,
no, you're wildly wrong. But that's okay. You
1799 to 1854. There you go.
So you and Freddie, your new best friend, what you're gonna do is you're gonna draw together. Specifically, you're gonna go around and do a bit of artistic imperialism because Shaun cannot help himself.
I should probably show you the one picture they used for him as well. There you go.
Oh, God.
I assume it's a self-portrait.
Beautiful. Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to reach out for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, then you can send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate you very, very much. And as always, don't fuck your sister.
Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.
Fellas, is it gay to be a woman?
I've come to realize, hey, women are people. Women can be degenerate and horny too. Women are capable of being surprisingly fascist. Don't approach women.
I killed the Pope. Blood python.